Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Thanksgiving! Thanksgiving week is finally here, and regardless of what some other people tell you, I love Thanksgiving. It's a great holiday. You get to visit with family. I love the food. I love the stuffing. I love all the side dishes. And we get 3 games of football that we get to play a fantastic slate of games on DraftKings for. This is my first look for the Thanksgiving slate, the 3-game slate on DraftKings for this week. I appreciate you guys being here. If you click like, that would be awesome. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would love it if you subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me, and just helping grow the channel as the season goes on. And obviously hit that notifications bell so you can get notified in your inbox or right here on YouTube anytime I post a new video. Not a lot of games, not a lot of choices. 2 of the games have totals that are moderate to low. One of the games has a ridiculously high total. We're probably going to be picking a lot of players from that game that has the high total. So why don't we take a quick look at how everything's going on this slate. So 3 games: Chicago, Detroit, Washington, Dallas, Atlanta, New Orleans. And we get hammer with this game. It's the latest game. Anybody that you're playing from this game, make sure that one of them is in the flex spot, first of all. I've had people ask me why, so I do have to explain it. You want your latest player in the flex, your highest salaried latest player in the flex, because if you are blocked in a head-to-head, or if you have the ability to jump up in a tournament, you want the option to take a wide receiver, a running back, or a tight end, as opposed to locking yourself in at wide receiver, or locking yourself in at running back, or locking yourself in at tight end if you're playing 2. You want the later one in the flex. That gives you more flexibility to late swap before that game kicks off. If you have a chance to win a tournament, and you're like, well, I have a chance to win this tournament, but there's 3 people ahead of me that have the guy that I played, you can pivot to somebody else that they don't have to at least give yourself a chance to pass them. Otherwise, the best you can do is like 4th or, behind all those people that have already gotten ahead of you. Give yourself a chance to win that tournament. So that's why you put your latest playing player in the flex. I personally put my latest playing highest salary player in the flex. It's more from basketball, but, it is what it is. Football, less important. Just make sure you got at least one of your latest players in the flex. And in this game slate, you're probably going to have more than one player from that Atlanta New Orleans game. So it allows you to swap your 2v2s or 3v3s in that situation. So Drew Brees, 6,700. Not throwing the ball a ton, but being ridiculously efficient. 4 more touchdowns last week, 33 fantasy points. He's 6,700. Matt Ryan, 6,100, and they're going to be chasing, so you'd theoretically think that he's going to have to throw the ball 40 to 50 times to try and keep pace, but there is the possibility, just like with Carson Wentz, that they just get shellacked. I think less chance that they get shellacked than the Eagles did in Week 11. Fast turnaround for both teams. Trubisky, can we talk about his rushing ability? This dude has topped 40 yards how many times this year? 4, 5? Like, sometimes, some games, there is just a massive lean on the run. Detroit's been really bad against pass-catching running backs, so I think Cohen is a little bit more in play this week than in past weeks. That can boost Mitch Trubisky's floor through the air. They've been somewhat weak they've just been a dumpster fire, the Detroit Lions. They did win this week, but they're a team that we can attack. For 5,900, I don't hate Trubisky on this slate. Stafford, massively up and down pretty much all year, more downs than ups. 1 game over 25 DraftKings points. Could show out on Thanksgiving. Dak Prescott against Washington. Washington, a tough defense. The last time they played, he did have 22 fantasy points for 5.1K. I like that value. I also like Colt McCoy here at 4,700 with the brutal injury to Alex Smith. Hopefully he can recover from that one. His career's not over. A very Theismann-esque injury on the same exact date that the Theismann injury happened. And apparently the score in that game was exactly the same as it was when Theismann got injured. Once again, Illuminati confirmed. I kind of want to just plug in Colt McCoy to get the value that I can get. Right? I want to get as cheap a quarterback as I can, whether it's going to be him or whether it's going to be Dak, to be able to afford all the running backs and wide receivers that we want. Now, we do have Ezekiel Elliott. Last time that they played Washington, did not fare very well. They were very difficult to deal with against the run. They're probably going to have to involve him a lot more in the passing game if they want to score points. They do have Amari Cooper now, who let us down in Week 11. this game looks like it's going to be bully ball. Looks like it's going to be a slugfest. Not sure that I want to pay all the way up to get Ezekiel Elliott. I'll probably have some shares in tournaments when I mass multi-enter. But in terms of my cash game lineup, I think he's very much a fade. These next two cats, though, considering how much or how bad Atlanta's been against opposing running backs, and they've been like really, really bad. They've always been a team that we've targeted. They've always been a team that we've gone after. But as bad as they are against the pass, I don't see why we don't just go with both of these cats. I mean, we can look at a tweet from my podcast mate, Adam Levitan here. Week 11, Ezekiel Elliott, 36.1 DraftKings points. Falcons running backs so far: Jay Ajayi, 20.2, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Gio Bernard, James Conner, Peyton Barber, Saquon Barkley. Adrian Peterson was the only flub. Nick Chubb did not flub, 38 fantasy points. Mark Ingram, you're not going to get 20 touches out of him, but you are going to get 13 to 16 pretty much every single week. You're not always going to get 2 rushing touchdowns. When they get inside the red zone, when they get inside the 5-yard line, it's not obviously Ingram time. Like a lot of people want to write that narrative. Well, Kamara's the passing game back, and Ingram is the running game. He's the guy that they go to. It's thunder and lightning. It is not the way that they utilize these guys. Kamara with the lion's share of the red zone looks on that team. Thomas gets the second amount of red zone looks on this team. Mark Ingram third in the games that they are all back in together. So I do like Ingram here. Not sure it's a situation where people are analyzing it. Well, he's going to get all the rushing touchdowns, because he's clearly not going to. It's going to change from week to week. Whoever's just in, if they're going no huddle, things like that. But it's not like we're on the goal line now, bring in LeGarrette Blount. That's not what's happening here. So don't fool yourself into that narrative. Kerryon Johnson got injured last game. He's got a knee sprain, considered week to week. I don't know if he can make the quick turnaround, which means that we're going to see an awful lot of Theo Riddick this week against a tough run defense, but his ability to catch passes and the amount of times that they line him up in the slot is intriguing to me. I think they're probably going to pound LeGarrette Blount into the line a bunch of times, but they're also going to get Theo Riddick 10 carries. They're probably going to get him 6, 7, 8 targets. I don't hate Riddick if you need value at running back, but for me, honestly, moving on, it's not that difficult, guys. Play the 2 running backs against the worst defense against running backs on a team that throws the ball a bunch to their running backs in the game where they are favored by 13, playing at home on the fast track with a game total of 60. Don't overthink it. That's kind of all you have to do. Just don't overthink it, guys. Wide receiver. Michael Thomas needs to catch touchdowns early to absolutely smash value, or has to be in a shootout. Because when they take these massive leads, and this Saints offense, the way that it's clicking right now, can definitely take massive leads, you're going to get lines like this. He did end up getting into the end zone on one. But this is not thrilling for 8,900. This is a good floor. But you could argue that Julio Jones has a very similar floor with as much or more upside at 500 or 600 less DraftKings dollars. Touchdowns in 3 straight games. But Julio doesn't score touchdowns. 3 straight games. 3 straight games. He scored a touchdown in 3 straight games. I don't want to hear it anymore. And you get the ability of him coming back, right? We're running the running backs, and we get Julio Jones coming back on the other side, so we get that push-pull, right? Knowing that Atlanta, based on projected game flow, should be coming from behind in this game and have to throw it a little bit more. We could be looking at a 10, 12, 14 target game for Julio Jones in the hammer spot, right? Leaving us with the ability to maybe chase people down here. Kenny Golladay, I talked about him on the recap video. If you haven't watched it, please go look at it. With everybody out for the Lions, he has to get this sort of usage. There's just nowhere else to go with the ball. With Tate gone, Marvin Jones Jr. injured, and they're playing guys off the street. Bruce Ellington came and signed with the team 2 weeks ago. They got TJ Jones out there. They're running Riddick in the slot for at least 50% of the slot snaps that they have. To me, Kenny Golladay is kind of a must play as long as the situation remains the same. Now, who was the cat that Evan Silva tweeted out? Who was it? Was it Trey Quinn? Let me find it. Here it is. Expecting Trey Quinn to be popular Thanksgiving slate play. Ran the third most Week 11 routes on the Redskins behind Josh Doctson and Jordan Reed. He ran 36 routes this week, caught 4 of 4 targets for 49 yards. There was their pre-snap write-up. If you want to check that out. I'm pretty sure you are. If you play fantasy football and you don't follow Evan Silva on Twitter, I'm just going to go out and say it. You're probably doing fantasy football wrong because literally everybody that plays fantasy football does and should follow Evan Silva on Twitter. So shout out to Evan Silva, who already has all the followers. Maybe you'll get 5 more from this video. I don't hate it. I don't. Just on volume, guys. Just on volume, projectable volume. I don't hate this where we need to get volume. We need to get value. We need to find players that can allow us to pay up for as much exposure to this game that we can possibly get. Somebody in chat just said, I don't follow Evan Silva. You need to fix that. Go follow Evan Silva. Defense, let's plug one in. Oh, look, we usually just plug a 3K defense, and the Bears are right around 3K. Saints defense at home. Don't hate it, but don't love it here. They're in play for me, obviously, especially at 2,300. Lions defense against Chicago. Less interested than usual. Washington against Dallas. Don't hate, but the Bears are my number one defense at a first glance at 2,900. With the amount of sacks that the Detroit Lions have allowed, not just on the whole season, but more so recently. The sack upside is just too high. The consistency is way too high. The easiest predictor of being able to create turnovers and therefore defensive touchdowns is the ability to get the pressure on the passer, and the Bears do that as good or better than any other team in the league. So the potential upside for a $2,900 defense here, they should be, in my opinion, the highest owned on the slate. I'd be kind of a little bit shocked if they weren't, but obviously with a deeper dive, that might not be the case. Trey Burton, interesting. Jordan Reed had a big week. Scored a touchdown, but to me that's less important than the volume. 11 targets, 7 catches. If you take that away, 6 catches on 10 targets, and without that touchdown, still beats value. 4,700, if you can afford him, is fine. I'm probably going to want to try and see if I can get one more expensive E player in here. We have Trey Burton, who I know is going to be somewhat popular this week. He's hit or miss, in my opinion. Hooper's seen roller coastering volume, 3 weeks of bad volume, 2 weeks of good volume, 2 weeks of bad volume, 2 weeks of really good volume. Can we bank on another good week of volume here for Austin Hooper, allowing us to have 5,600 to spend on our flex? We have Allen Robinson, Kerryon Johnson, Ridley, Tariq Cohen, who I think has a chance here on Thanksgiving to kind of be a difference maker. Not sure if I want to go with Tevin Coleman in a game where they're not going to be leading because he just doesn't get enough volume on the ground to merit the amount of volume that he gets through the air. So to me, I kind of want to have Tariq Cohen. And as I said before, I want to put Theo Riddick also in play, but if you want to spend the money, you can upgrade one of these quarterbacks. I mean, we could go with Theo Riddick. We can go with, right now for the first look, I'm going to go with Tariq Cohen. If you go with Theo Riddick here, you'll be able to upgrade there. Kamara here for me, leaving us with 300. So if you go to Ingram or to him, that gives you 800 more to spend, which allows you to get up to like Stafford, but not quite Trubisky. You'll have to cut the defense to get up to one of these higher dollar quarterbacks. So it's possible. I like this slate. I like the way that it's priced. I like the way that it's the way that the lineups fit together. Very easy to build a lineup that's very Atlanta and New Orleans heavy, which I think is going to be the correct route to go, and sprinkle in the high volume guys from the lower totaled games from earlier in the day. Whole lot of action on Thanksgiving. Spend the time with your family. Passively watch the games. Don't sit there and sweat it out like it's the last thing that you do. Have the game on the TV like I'm sure every one of you is going to do. But enjoy the holiday. Enjoy your family. If you're not Adam Levitan, enjoy the food. Please click the subscribe button. Here's my week 12 first look that you guys can check out. And I'll catch up to you later. Bye.